Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something that I think a lot of us think about, especially if we've got a furry friend who's getting up there in years.
Getting up there in age, yeah.
It's all about those senior dogs and how to really help them thrive, not just, get by.
Right.
We're taking a close look at this guide that's packed with info about senior dog health. And honestly, one of the things that really stood out to me was all the stuff about gut health. It's like way more important than I ever thought, especially for older dogs.
Absolutely. It's really, it's foundational, I think. A lot of times we focus on what we see on the outside, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, the gray muzzle.
The little gray hairs coming in.
Yeah, they're moving a little slower.
A little slower on those walks.
Exactly. But, what's happening on the inside is just as important.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of the inside, the guide mentions that dogs age differently based on their breed and their size. But it's not just like a senior or not senior thing, is it?
Not at all. It's much more gradual. Different breeds kind of hit those senior milestones at different times, right? So think of like the smaller breeds. They tend to enter their golden years a bit later, maybe around 10 to 12 years old.
Okay.
Then you've got your medium-sized pups. They're usually considered senior between 8 and 10.
Gotcha.
And then our gentle giants, the larger breeds, they often start showing signs of aging a bit earlier. Sometimes even as young as 6 to 8 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not just how old they are, like their actual age, but their breed and how they're built really matters.
Exactly. And as they get older, it's not just about, slowing down a bit.
Yeah.
Their whole physiology, their whole body, it changes.
Yeah.
Like how they process food, not as efficient.
Right.
Muscle mass can decline, their immune system, not as strong.
So it's like this ripple effect kind of throughout their whole system.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's where this whole gut health thing comes in. I mean, the guide really stresses that it's like essential, especially for senior dogs.
Yeah, and it's more than just digestion, right?
Right.
Which is what most people think of when they think about the gut. It plays such a big role in their immunity, how well they absorb nutrients, their energy levels, even, get this, their mental sharpness.
Really?
Yeah, and, as they get older, all those things can be impacted by what's going on in their gut.
Now, you mentioned mental sharpness, and it made me wonder, does that tie into, like, cognitive decline in senior dogs? Because I know some dogs, they get a little forgetful as they get older. Is there a connection there with the gut?
There's actually a growing amount of research that suggests there could be a link.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's fascinating. So the gut, it produces these neurotransmitters.
Okay.
And they actually, believe it or not, communicate with the brain. And some researchers, they believe that an imbalance in the gut microbiome, that's like the trillions of bacteria that live in the gut, it can actually affect cognitive function.
Wow, so it's almost like their gut is like a second brain.
It is. In a way, it really is. And, it's something we're only starting to fully understand, but one thing's for sure. A healthy gut can have some seriously positive effects on their overall well-being, including how sharp they are mentally.
Okay, so we've established gut health is super important. But what does that actually look like for a senior dog, in real life? What can we, as their owners, actually do to help? I know the guide goes into specifics, which is what I'm excited to get into. How do we support their gut health and, in turn, their overall health?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And thankfully, this guide has got some great answers. And it really emphasizes a holistic approach, addressing different parts of their well-being.
Okay, so it's not like one magic solution, but a bunch of things working together.
You got it. And it starts with recognizing their needs change as they get older. One of the first things this guide recommends is switching to a senior-specific diet.
Right, okay. Yeah, I've seen those at the pet store, but never really thought about why they were different. It's not just about, like, less kibble in the bowl, right?
Yeah, not at all. Senior dogs need different nutrients, and their metabolism, it slows down. So they need fewer calories, but those calories need to be packed with nutrients. The guide really points out how important easily digestible proteins are.
Okay.
Their digestive systems aren't as efficient, so they need protein that's easy to break down.
So quality over quantity when it comes to their food.
Absolutely. And don't forget about omega-3 fatty acids. They're fantastic for their joints, which, let's face it, can be a big issue as they get older. And they might even help with cognitive function, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Wow, those omega-3s are like little superheroes for our senior pups. So we've got the diet covered, but the guide also talks about probiotics, which seem to be like all the rage these days, not just for us, but for our furry friends too. I'll admit I'm a little skeptical. Is this all hype, Or is there real science behind it, especially for senior dogs?
Probiotics are definitely having a moment, but the science is actually pretty solid, especially for our older pals. It's not just a marketing thing. You see, as dogs age, the balance of bacteria in their gut, it can shift. Remember, there are good and bad bacteria in there. And when the bad guys start to outnumber the good guys, well, it can cause problems.
So it's like their inner ecosystem gets out of whack.
Exactly. That's where probiotics come in. They introduce these beneficial bacteria back into the gut, kind of like reinforcements for the good guys. This helps crowd out the bad bacteria, reduce inflammation, and promote a healthier gut overall.
So it's not just about, like, masking the symptoms, but actually getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly. And restoring that balance can have this ripple effect, right? Leading to better digestion, a stronger immune system, even more energy. The guide even mentions a specific probiotic for senior dogs called Pawbiotix. It claims to target those age-related gut issues.
Pawbiotix, yeah. And I've heard that name before, but to be honest, it kind of sounded like one of those too good to be true things. But you're saying there's real science backing this up.
There is. Now, look, I'm always a bit cautious about recommending specific products. It's crucial to chat with your vet before starting any new supplements. They know your dog best and can tell you if Pawbiotix or any probiotic is right for them. But the research on probiotics for senior dogs, it's pretty encouraging. Studies show they can help with digestive issues, boost their immune system, and even improve cognitive function.
Okay, so it's not just hype. There's real potential there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. Always talk to your vet first. They know your dog best and can give you the best advice. So we've covered diet, probiotics. I'm guessing there's more we can do to help our senior pups. Right?
You bet. There's a whole lot more. And we'll get into those other aspects of senior dog care after a quick break. Stick around.
All right, we're back. And before the break, we were talking about probiotics and how they can help rebalance, the good and bad bacteria in our dog's gut.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what are some signs that maybe their gut health is a little off in the first place? Like, what should we as owners be looking out for?
Well, that's a great question. And, you're the expert on your dog, so you're really the first one to notice if things are a little different.
Right, yeah.
But here's the thing. Sometimes as dogs get older, they don't show their discomfort as much as they did when they were younger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you got to pay attention to those subtle cues.
Those little signs, okay.
Exactly. One of the most common things you might see is inconsistent digestion. Maybe their poop is a little softer than normal, or they're having diarrhea or constipation.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe their appetite changes. They're not as excited about their food, or they're eating a lot more grass than usual.
Oh, my dog has always loved eating grass,
Yeah.
even as a puppy. Is that always a sign of a gut problem?
Not necessarily. Some dogs just, they like the taste or the texture.
Yeah, it's like salad.
Exactly. But if it's a new thing, or if they're also throwing up or having diarrhea, then it's worth bringing up with your vet.
Okay, so changes in, their bathroom habits and how much they're eating. What else should we look for?
Let their
Okay.
senior dogs slow down naturally, but if they're suddenly a lot more tired than usual, or they don't want to go for walks or play, could be a sign someone's off in their gut.
Interesting. I've noticed, too, that my dog's coat isn't as shiny as it used to be. Does that have anything to do with gut health?
It could. The guide mentions that a dull coat, even if they're shedding more than usual, can mean they're having trouble absorbing nutrients. If their gut's not working right, they might not be getting all the good stuff from their food, and it can show up in their coat.
Wow, I never would have thought about that. So we're talking digestion, appetite, how much energy they have, even their coat, anything else like red flags to watch out for?
Oh, yeah. The guide also mentions frequent gastrointestinal upset.
Okay.
So if your dog's gassy or bloated, or you hear gurgling sounds coming from their tummy, could be a sign that the bacteria in their gut is out of balance.
This is all starting to make sense. I think we often think of gut health as just about digestion, but it really affects so much more.
Absolutely. It's connected to everything. And the good news is that there are things we can do to help, get things back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of helping, we talked about Pawbiotix earlier, that probiotic supplement specifically for senior dogs.
Right.
But beyond probiotics, what else can we do to create a gut-friendly environment for our older dogs?
That's where lifestyle comes in. We've talked about a good diet, something that's easy for them to digest.
Right.
But exercise is important too.
You mean even senior dogs need to get moving?
Absolutely. Now, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be anything crazy. A gentle walk, a little fetch in the backyard, even just some playtime inside.
Okay.
It can really make a difference. Exercise helps stimulate digestion, keeps everything moving, and it can even lower their stress. And stress, we know, can have a negative impact on their gut.
I love that you brought up stress because that's something we often forget about with our pets, I think.
Yeah. And dogs are so in tune with our energy, they pick up on our stress. They can get stressed just like we do. So a calm environment, one that's predictable, especially as they get older, it can really help support their overall well-being, and that includes their gut health.
That makes a lot of sense. So diet, probiotics, exercise, and keeping things calm and stress-free. Anything else we can do to create that gut-friendly haven for our senior dogs?
Hydration. It's super important for everyone, but especially older dogs. Make sure they always have access to fresh water. And you can even try adding a little bone broth to their water bowl. It's like a little extra boost of flavor and nutrients.
Oh, that's a great idea. We have to try that. So, okay, we've got a good foundation for gut health, but I know the guide also talks about other important things when it comes to caring for senior dogs, right?
Right. One thing that's often overlooked is mental stimulation.
You mean it's not just about their physical health, but keeping their minds engaged too?
Exactly. Just like us, dogs can experience some cognitive decline as they get older, but keeping their minds active can really help slow that process down.
So what are some ways we can challenge their brains?
Hmm.
I'm picturing my dog trying to do Sudoku.
Maybe not Sudoku. But there are lots of fun and engaging things for senior dogs. Puzzle toys are great. You gotta figure out how to get the treats out.
Oh yeah, my dog loves those.
Yeah.
He gets so proud of himself when he finally gets it.
It's awesome, right? Those little victories can do wonders for their confidence.
Absolutely. So puzzle toys, what else?
Teaching them new tricks.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Even a new hand signal, a new game, it keeps their brains working.
I love that. It's a win-win, right? Mental stimulation for them, and we get to spend some quality time with them.
Exactly. And honestly, don't underestimate just spending time with them, talking to them, brushing them, even just sitting with them and petting them. It all provides mental and emotional stimulation, which is just as important as physical activity.
Sometimes I think we forget how much our dogs thrive on that connection with us. It's like their love language.
It is. It really is. And as they get older, that connection becomes even more precious. They might need a little extra patience, a little extra understanding, as they go through all these changes. But the love and companionship, it's more important than ever.
This is all great advice. I'm feeling so much more prepared to really support my senior dog through these years.
Me too. And one thing I really appreciate about this guide is it doesn't shy away from the fact that aging, it's natural.
Yeah.
There are going to be good days and bad days.
Right.
It's not about pretending those changes aren't happening, but, adapting our care to what they need.
Totally. And that includes being proactive about their health care.
Oh, for sure.
Ah, yes. The vet visits. I know they're super important, but I'll be honest, I always get a little anxious taking my dog to the vet.
I get it. But, regular vet checkups, especially for seniors, they're like preventative maintenance. It's about catching things early on when they're easier to manage.
Like taking your car in for a tune-up before it breaks down.
That's a great analogy. And those regular checkups, it gives your vet a chance to look for any age-related stuff, take care of their teeth, which is often overlooked, and just give you advice based on your dog's needs.
Plus they get some extra love from, the vet techs and everyone there.
Exactly. They love that. So we've talked about diet, probiotics, exercise, mental stimulation, going to the vet. Is there anything else we should be thinking about?
Yes.
And it's about, going beyond just the physical and mental. It's about making sure their environment is comfy and supportive.
I love that you brought that up. I think we sometimes forget how much our environment affects their quality of life,
It's true. Think about it. As dogs get older, they might get achy, it might be harder for them to move around, and their senses might not be as sharp.
Right.
So having a space where they feel safe, comfortable, it's super important.
So what are some things we can do to make their environment a little more senior-friendly?
The guide has some good tips. One of the simplest things. A good bed.
Okay, yeah.
As they get older, they might need more cushioning, especially if their joints are bothering them.
Makes sense. So comfy bed, check. What else?
Think about how they get to their food and water.
Okay.
Maybe their bowls are too low now, harder for them to reach. Think about raising them up or getting one of those elevated feeders. It can make mealtime easier.
Oh, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that.
And think about how they move around the house.
Yeah.
Do they have to use stairs to get to their favorite napping spot? Maybe it's time to set up a cozy little area for them downstairs. That way they don't have to climb up and down.
Those are all such great practical tips. I can already see how these little changes can make a big difference for them.
Yeah. And remember their emotional needs, too.
Okay.
Older dogs can get more anxious, more clingy, especially if they're experiencing some cognitive decline or their senses are changing.
So how can we support them emotionally?
Patience, lots of patience. They need extra reassurance, extra love, as they figure out all these changes. Keeping a regular routine can also be really helpful.
Yeah, routine's important for dogs of all ages, but especially for seniors, I think.
It really is. It gives them that sense of predictability, stability, which can be comforting, especially if they're dealing with cognitive stuff.
Yeah, it makes total sense. This is all such great insight. I'm feeling a lot more equipped now to really create that loving and supportive environment that my senior dog needs.
Yeah. And what I love about this deep dive is, it's not just about giving you information. It's about understanding our aging dogs.
Right.
It's about seeing the world from their point of view and creating a space where they can truly thrive.
Not just survive, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the perfect lead-in to the final part of our deck dive. We're going to talk about those moments of joy, those special connections that make these golden years so special. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've talked about a lot today, from all that gut health stuff to making our homes like little senior dog havens.
Right.
But I think more than anything, this deep dive has really made me realize just how precious these golden years are.
They are. It's not just about them living longer. It's about making sure they're actually enjoying life, making these years comfortable, happy, full of connection.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think so often we focus on like the challenges of aging, but it's important to celebrate those little things that make our senior dogs, happy. How can we create those moments for them even as, things change?
Well, that's where really understanding their needs comes in, right? You know your dog best, so think about what they really love, what gets them excited, what do they still enjoy, even if maybe you have to adjust it a little.
For my dog, belly rubs all day, every day. He may not be up for those long walks anymore, but he'll never turn down a good belly rub.
There you go. It's those little things, those moments of connection that can make all the difference. Maybe it's brushing them or cuddling on the couch or even just, talking to them in that sweet voice.
Oh, speaking of senses, I've heard that a dog's sense of smell can decline as they get older. Is there anything we can do to help with that? Like to make their environment a little more stimulating?
That's a really good point. Their sense of smell is so important to them, and even just a little scent can bring back memories. You can try incorporating some, scent enrichment activities.
Scent enrichment, like what?
Yeah.
I'm picturing my dog with a little aromatherapy diffuser.
Huh. Maybe not a diffuser, but you can hide treats in a snuffle mat or make a little scent trail in the yard using some herbs or essential oils that are safe for dogs. You could even give them a scent toy, maybe a plush toy with some lavender or chamomile. It can be really calming.
I love that. It's like making a little sensory playground just for them.
That's the idea. And it's not just about smell. Think about their other senses too. Some soft music in the background, a warm blanket to snuggle in, even just you petting them, that gentle touch. It can all be really comforting and stimulating.
It's like creating a world that really caters to their needs as they get older. A world where they can still experience joy, even if things are changing.
Exactly. And don't forget the emotional stuff, too.
Right.
As dogs age, they can get a little more anxious, a little more clingy, especially if they're going through cognitive decline or their senses aren't as sharp as they used to be.
Yeah, so how can we help them with that?
Patience. It's all about patience.
Yeah.
They just need a little more reassurance, a little extra love as they go through these changes, and keeping things consistent. Having a routine can really help too.
Routine's so important.
It gives them that feeling of security, like everything's okay.
This is all so helpful. I'm feeling a lot more confident about caring for my senior dog now.
And what I love about this deep dive is that, it's not just about information. It's about that deeper understanding of our dogs,
It's about really seeing things from their point of view.
Exactly. And I think that leads us perfectly to our final thoughts here. What have we learned today? What's the most important thing when it comes to helping our senior dogs thrive?
Well, what do you think?
I think it comes down to this. Love them, support them on their journey, and cherish every moment. These golden years are truly a gift.
That's a beautiful thought, and one that I'll keep in mind as I go through this next chapter with my own senior dog. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your knowledge. It's been wonderful.
The pleasure was all mine. And to all you listeners out there, keep on loving those senior pups.
Until next time, may your days be filled with wet noses, wagging tails, and the unconditional love of your amazing dogs.